and welcome to the Recruiter Startup Podcast. I'm joined today by two legends of the industry. The big man in my top left, Mr. Chris Weatherill, and everybody's favorite recruitment superstar, Gary. What would your fighting name be if it was your middle name before we say Wills?
Come on.
Gary the what? What are we saying?
Gary the Gopher.
Gary the Gopher.
We'll have that, mate. I'm not
all right.
practiced.
Okay, so we all got to know each other on Mastermind 2, right? So how long ago was that we started that process? It feels like dark days in COVID.
I think it's been literally a year, just over a year. It was January it kicked off, wasn't it? Or was it the beginning of February?
Yeah.
So, yeah, what a year that's been.
That is. Gary, you've been on the podcast before, and Chris, you've been a big fan. So it's an honor to have you on today. We've been communicating for a long time, and I made an introduction for you to get to know Andy Hallett, who helped you with your business. And then you came into the mastermind, we helped you with your business, and you're like a sponge, getting all the good stuff, making it happen. I suppose today, if you guys could give yourself a bit of an introduction, start with Chris, then to Gary, and then we'll have a bit of a chit chat.
Well, I'm Chris, as Dalton's already said. I've got almost 30 years of recruitment experience. Started first of all in 1993 for Dalton's favorite company, Hayes, although they were a private company at that point. So I go back, as I say, I'm an analog recruiter stuck in a digital age, and that's sort of been part of my journey with meeting Dalton. So I did recruitment, then left, set up my own company, and then in early 2000, after we had the .com and the .gone and been and gone, I went internal, which I know is a little bit of a shock and a little bit of a change of things. Spent 12 years working for Oracle internally as a resource director, and then come out and spent the last 5 years doing recruitment. And my biggest client is Oracle. So it's kind of, all full circle, but it's interesting being the gamekeeper turned poacher.
Good on you. And Gary, give us a bit of a rundown.
Yeah, I don't quite have the 30 years. I think I've got 20 years in recruitment. Worked for some big brands, some small sort of family-run businesses as well. For 10 years, I worked for an amazing company called Crimson, part of the Harvey Nash Group. Found myself furloughed in, when was it? Must have been April 2020, I think it is, yeah. Found myself furloughed then, decided to set up a little support group, a charity group, which went quite well, called Furlearn, which then gave me the confidence to launch my own recruitment business and do something that I've always wanted to do, which is called Talent Today, where I'm trying to fast track the recruitment process. And I just specialize purely now in IT projects of work.
All right. Lovely, lovely. How would you describe yourself? Are you a boutique? Well, both of you, I'm just curious. Do you see yourselves as somebody's going to grow a big company? Do you see yourself as an independent recruiter? How would you describe yourself?
Currently, I'd say boutique. I think there's, in the first couple of years, you really need to sort of ride the wave a little bit and work out exactly what you're good at, what you're best at, what you're rubbish at, and sort of what you've been helping us with, really. So outsourcing as much as you possibly can. And then in time, let's see whether we can try and grow the business, but getting it profitable in the first couple of years is massively key for me.
And yourself, Chris, you're further along the journey. You've reshaped in different directions. I'm curious to hear how you view yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I think niche is one thing, but then as I discovered during COVID, being niche is great when there's still a market there to do it. So I've had to then change and pivot, which I think a lot of people have done. I perhaps screwed up a little bit because during the first part of COVID, I was sitting there probably doing what a lot of other recruiters did, going to the same place to try and get business and there not being any. So it's been a little bit of a journey of reshaping, but I deal with big companies. What I would say is I deal like a big company, even though I'm a smaller company. But yeah, it all depends how you want to measure it. So, but yeah, it's certainly niche. I know one of the things in the mastermind course you were saying that you have to find your niche, and then we discovered with me that I don't have a niche. I've got about 4 of them. So I've got 4 niches. So that's what I do. But yeah, it's interesting dealing with big companies. And that seems to be my specialism, the ability to actually deal with the big companies and navigate through them.
Yeah, you've got an interesting business. So you're not just a recruiter, really. You're almost like an MSP, aren't you?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we're not quite on the consultancy side, although we're kind of on the edge of that stuff. But yeah, what we do a lot of business to business work, which is really interesting. It's helping big businesses be able to operate, because often big businesses cannot operate with small businesses. So I fulfill that bit in between.
My dog's snoring in the background here. I don't know if you can. I don't know if you can hear him. He's having a full-on like puppy dream. He's really,
is Chris
really
bored
going for it.
already?
Yeah, I was going to say that didn't take long.
Claude, it's okay. It's all right. It's all right. They'll liven up. Don't worry. So it's funny, right? So when you coach people, I think actually our sweet spot in coaching people is hyper experienced people like yourself. But in order to do that, we have to unpack some ideas and some preconceptions that you have of yourself and all the rest. And we can have some like challenging moments on that, like when we delve into a niche or a process. Or I think with you, Gary, your obsession with video fascinated me. And is that something that you're still really driving towards, the video element, or have you changed your thought on that now that you're a year in? Or
No, it is something which it doesn't work for some clients, but it does work for others. My vision is still to have almost a website of video candidates where a client can log on and have like a shortlist, type in project manager, for instance, in Agile, and 5 or 6 candidates pop up. You click the video, press play, and there's your candidates. You can take your pick which one you want, right? So that's the vision where I want to get to, but I think we're a little bit off there at the minute.
That's a nice vision though.
Yeah.
So I'm a client, I've logged on and I need a contractor straight away. And it's so like the person will be there and they'll be like, this is what I do. Here's my key experiences. Here's what it costs a day. Book me below.
Yeah.
And you make it happen from that.
A personalized video. So just 3 to 5 minutes of that person, myself or somebody else, interviewing that candidate, explaining, tell me exactly what you're best at doing. How do you deal with stakeholders? How do you get the project over the line on time? How do you deal with failure? So they can actually get a flavor for the person to actually think, could that person work in the business for us? And actually, yes, it's a 3-month or 6-month assignment. Right, Gary, can we get John in?
What's the barrier to entry from the candidate side to make them do it? Like what are they saying when you ask them?
It's more the keeping the, because the contract market moves so quickly. So it's literally, you are going to be having to conduct so many interviews all the time and keeping the database up to date. And I haven't quite got my head around that piece yet, but I'm working on it. I
can imagine you don't update the actual video, you update the text under it. So the video wouldn't talk about their current job. It would talk about the general experience, who they are, what they're great at. And then beneath would be an updated, like, here's the current projects that I'm on. And with their availability when it's coming up. Yeah. When they're coming up. So it's constantly being updated. That's the only way around it I can think of it working. Yeah. So, but, it's a really good idea. I think Joe Mullings has developed that in his world, or at least he was well underway in doing it. Would you try? So it's a tricky one. Then do you operate like a traditional consultancy on top of it, or? It's traditional recruitment. You just put this is the charge, so £600 a day, and you make your margin from that. All right. And would it be a double-sided marketplace? So would the major accounts out there, would they be able to put their profile, and you almost have create an internal marketplace? Of course, yeah. You can flip whatever you want. It's just recruitment at the end of the day. So it's just the time, and it's the scalability of it and keeping the data, up to date and current. So, but this is where I'm at the moment. Is I'm trying to grow this business organically. I don't want to take external investment. So it's going to take. You'll have to take external investment to do that. What you're doing might be from somebody who builds as much as Chris Weatheril here, though. How much money do you have in your bank account, Chris? You must be one of the wealthiest guys I know, right?
Well, no, unfortunately I don't, because as you know, with a contract business, when it's expanding, that's the time when you don't have any money. So right now I've got no money. So it's quite a simple equation. It's all tied up. It's all working capital.
Yeah. Well, during the mastermind, I like that you had your son who's finding his way in the world. You had him working for you. After that experience, firstly, what's it like having somebody of the next generation what's their view on what you do and how you do it? And what was that like? Because there's a big gap between what you've done in your life and all the rest, and then this kid seeing that and then choosing, oh, do I want to do this? Oh, dad has a good life, but maybe I want to do something else. Like, what, walk us through that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was very interesting because as a millennial child, he was very much not used to picking up the phone. Trying to get him to actually pick up the phone, recruitment always used to be about, how many calls a day can you make? But it was very interesting seeing this real reluctance from him to actually get on the phone. And I remember once on a call when we were on there together, he was in the background chatting away and doing his bit. And actually, he's very, very good at it. But I think whereas I grew up always on the phone, that was the only way you could communicate with people. Now there's so many other mediums out there that are that. It's difficult to train someone up. And I think, as Gary said, recruitment is still recruitment. I think if you can be on the phone all the time, you can do a better job. Pick up the phone and money falls out the end of it. It is very much a case of doing that one. So I think there's a real reluctance for the younger generation to actually, just pick up that phone and do things. And I think that's going to, it's going to be a problem in the future, and maybe recruitment will change. But I mean, I did my first ever piece of recruitment recently where I never actually spoken to the candidate, and they started on a contract, which
Wow.
surprised the heck out of me. I don't think it's the best way to do it either. It was just, it was different time zones. So it wasn't a case of me not doing it. It's just we didn't manage to. They then had the interview, they got offered the job, and off it went from there. But that's a bit of a landmark moment. So 2022 was the first time I've ever done that. But do I feel comfortable with it? No, I don't. And I think as well, you don't build the relationship. It's much more difficult to build a relationship over texting or emails or LinkedIn Messenger or whatever it is.
Gary, are you ready to hire yet? Are you at a point now where you think you might get a couple of juniors in, or maybe an experienced hire? Have you decided what direction you're going? I know you told us what the overall vision are, but that's like, there's 30 steps before that, right?
Yeah, exactly. So the first step, which I'm acting on at the moment, is I've finally hired a VA to actually help me on the compliance and contract side. So I finally pushed the button on that, which is really freeing up a load of my time, which is great. She is amazing. And now I'm in a position where it's probably going to be, I'm just waiting for the payroll, as you know, the contract market. So you just need to get the cash in. Okay. So I just need about another 3-4 months of runway, and then probably April, May, I'll be looking to bring in a resourcer, then train them up. But there will be a different type of resourcer that I'll be trying to bring in, because one thing that I noticed in recruitment when you work more in the corporate world is that to try and, we were just talking earlier about junior recruiters, trying to change a culture and the way that you work. So it's hard enough getting people on the phone. Imagine trying to get them to do video. Change your business to become more video focused. 20% of the business will do it, recruiters will do it, some will, some won't, and it just doesn't quite work. And that's why I'm trying to grow a business which is going to be, actually, this is from the get-go, this is the advert, this is the job description. You will be a video focused recruiter. So it's going to be, that is it. That's going to be the culture moving forward. Yeah. And I think if I was still in recruitment now, or maybe I was a manager or a director within a team and I was trying to convert them to do that, it would be such a painful struggle, because people don't like change, and they like the easy way, which is, for me, the easy way is just to pick the phone up. That's easy. But for others, it's send email. Then you try and get them to do the video side of it. It works for some, it won't work for all. It's a hard cultural shift.
It's a good one. Like, the video stuff is great because it's evergreen if you get that video piece right. So you don't have to redo it every time, so it does make sense.
But it only works for certain sectors. It won't work for everything. You try and get a developer or a tester to do it. There's no chance, even people who are really in demand, you try and get a recruiter sometimes to do it. They should be doing it, right? But it's going to be, they've got so much opportunity.
So my dad's I don't know what he is. He's something at Toyota. I kind of tune out. He tunes out at my stuff and I tune out at his, and we just go to a football match.
Yeah.
But he works for Toyota, and he's hiring I'm going to say, something to do with Oracle logistics-y type stuff, right? So a lot of BMs, PMs, BAs, PMs, maybe some change people. So he said that he recently gone through some of the hiring process, and he said that they're now getting the recruiters to work through video. So what he does is he gets the shortlist on video instead of doing the first interviews.
Yeah.
And he said saved him like hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, because he was like, believe you, don't believe you, believe you, don't believe you. Like, okay, like this here, like what you have to say, brilliant. Okay, these three here, bring them in for interview. And then because he's heard them speak, he's like, okay, I've got my questions ready. I kind of, so he's able to get kind of go through the whole process super quick.
Yeah.
Whereas before it was like a full hour with this person, a full hour with this person, a full hour, and nobody, hiring managers like him don't have time anymore.
Yeah.
So I thought that was like, you know, he's not somebody who's like, I love being on video, but from the other side of it, he was like, this has actually made my life a lot easier. So if it worked for him, I am thinking that you're onto something and it's going to work for others. But big companies like that are making it happen. You just might be a little early in it, and all the other companies will follow.
Yeah, you've got to remember, like the likes of Odro Interview, they've been around for a long time. So this is nothing revolutionary. It's just only some will do it, others won't, right? And it's how you can actually maximize that opportunity with the video. For me, you know, when I'm talking to clients, I'll work exclusively only. I can't compete with a PSL of 5. It just will not work, you know, because they've got the resources. But what I can do is actually save the hiring manager from talking to 5 different recruiters, receiving 20 different CVs, reviewing all the CVs, feeding back to the five agencies, being peppered to try and, you know, please take this candidate, I've got another candidate, etc. Then organizing the interviews, then conducting the interviews, then feeding back to the other 2-3 agencies. All of that effectively, Talent Today, we do that, you know, all in one hit, where you get a short list of just 5 candidates who are all video interviewed.
You will be able to, because when I looked at Weatherill's business, I was like, this is great, but you're killing yourself with admin. Like 80% of this can be done by somebody else. Like all your time spent doing this, you're working crazy hours. I remember we looked at it and I was like, let's work through this. So how many VAs do you have on now helping you?
Well, I do have 2 VAs, although one of them is actually living in the Ukraine, which is a little bit of a sobering thought right now. So yeah, she's a little bit concerning there, but we'll see what happens on that one. But yeah, I mean, on the admin side, strangely enough, you talk about my son joining the business. As of Monday, my wife joins the business. Yeah, as an accountant, hopefully she'll be able to take on some of that. And we're looking to try and get someone else on board as well who can do more of, as you said, the sort of the business side. I am being killed by paperwork. You're absolutely right. But the reality is that there's still business out there. Interesting hearing Gary talking about trying to work exclusive. A lot of the work I'm still doing is still quite contingent based. But because I'm in a niche, I do tend to know most of the big players. So that or most of the people in that. So, and I know what I'm talking about. And I think that's something, having been internal, that gives me a real edge over most other people. You know, most of the guys know me, work for me. You know, I've either hired them once before in the past, or, you know, I know their life history. So it's kind of quite interesting actually on that one, being involved in it in that way. So yeah, I'm trying to get away from the paperwork. So yeah, VAs are definitely good. Definitely a fantastic learn there from you guys. In terms of doing it. I'm surprised it's taken Gary this long to get there, but I'm glad he has. And if you can get them up and yeah, use the right skills, you know, Loxo's been a fairly fundamental thing as well. That's certainly, you know, you talk about admin, God, get the right tools in place. That's absolutely key to it all.
Yeah, so we're using Loxo and Sourcewell, who are sponsors of this podcast.
Well, there we are. I haven't got Sourcewell yet. Don't quite see the spot for that just now, but I am finding, you know, the Loxo outreach and things like that. I mean, this is just phenomenal stuff. You know, particularly for someone who didn't know what he was talking about. And I think that's one of the issues. Having not been like Gary, you know, 20 years in the industry, you get to know and you see all the changes. Having had 15 years out of it, I came in and, you know, the whole world had moved on so much. I remember my first chat with Rich Gibbard, and it was like he was speaking Greek to me. I didn't understand half these words. You know, the idea of like interview or Odro or Loxo or Sourcewell, it's like, what the heck? So yeah, and I think getting those right tools is certainly.
Gibbard did a great special guest session the other day for the mastermind. He's got to say, he's kind of jazzed up some of the stuff he does. So his business has evolved quite a bit. So he's taken care of like everything from helping shape the content to bringing that content to market, to using it, to getting, as Americans would say, MPC, or as we would say, speccing out candidates. So making sure that all of that stuff gets done on a weekly basis, especially for like, I know when you're an independent, Like there's so much to do that if you can get people to do different sections of your business, you're absolutely flying.
He's helping me at the minute.
Is he?
Yeah. So that is another thing which I have done, which was off the back of your mastermind, is that I've got a 10 episodes podcast called the 10-Minute Project Fix, which
nice. We talked about that, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, the idea was there, and then it was like, how can we do it? And it was all about quick fire. I wanted a very quick, short, snappy podcast, how to get the project over the line quickly. So that's been developed. We're on, I think 5 episodes have gone out so far. And he him and Erin, who work in the team with him, she's absolutely amazing. They're creating all the podcasts and videos. So yeah, that's been a game changer for me as well, because again, it helps get the brand out. Again, it helps to actually get people on the show that are actually potentially could be a client one day.
There's so much bad advice out there that you have to test things out in your own business, even to be able to kind of throw it out there. And we're lucky with RecWare that we have so many good partners, and we've tried what works, what doesn't. But then again, what works in my business might not work in yours, and vice versa, isn't it? It's every business is different, and there's definitely good tools out there. Any other ones that you're using at the moment that have really helped?
This is the basic one, but I'd say there's a tool in Job Adder called Form Adder, so the database provider, and effectively I could send a link out to, when I've done a placement, I send out a link, they click it, and they literally put in all of their information into this, and it goes straight into the CRM system, Job Adder, and it's just seamless. So all of the compliance, everything from VAT registration,
nice.
Limited company information is all in there. So I am 100% compliant, and I'm not having to upload them myself. I think that's a really cool feature that they plugged in.
Nice one. And that was Luxo, was it? Sorry, only joking. The good people at Luxo.
I'm a Job Adder guy. Sorry,
that was Luxo, was it? Yeah.
Yeah, that's
or
right.
was that Sourcewell? Sorry, I didn't catch that. We're not going to be talking about any other tools here today. Talk to me about the future. Are you optimistic?
Yep, definitely. I think this year, look, after every recession comes a boom. After every boom comes a recession. It's a statement of fact. So we're definitely in a boom right now. But how long's the boom going to last for? That's what I would say. I think the last week's curveball has been Ukraine, but I think we've got the rest of this year, certainly with what I'm seeing, and certainly I think a lot of projects got put on hold during COVID. So what we've got is a latent demand, plus the tech's there, and perhaps working for a cloud company, that's where all the right tech is as well in terms of the people I'm recruiting for. So yeah, I'm very optimistic.
And Gary, what about yourself? You're I heard a rumor that you're up to a decent contract number now, and the sun is out and the clouds have gone away, and you're at that nice sweet spot of planning.
Yeah. Last year, the first year of setting up was extremely tough.
Not easy.
No, not at all. And all the money that's coming in, it's going out the door, and then you build something and then you lose a project overnight, and it's you just literally treading water, covering your overheads. The amount of things that I learned last year about chasing debt up. I had a client owing 120 grand, not my money. That was just yeah. And literally had about 24 hours to find that, get them to pay it. Otherwise, I was going to potentially have to be liquidating the company. So that was a massive lesson, massive curveball. And now, yes, optimistic. I've had a fantastic January, February. I think so far, I think 10 contractors been placed in 2 months. Chris actually asked, how's your week been? And I said, actually, pretty lazy, I'll be honest. I work kind of in sprints, and I've had this week, I've taken it a little bit easier, because I know, you just can't on your own keep running at that pace all the time. We're not 21 anymore, so I
speak for yourself.
I feel 21, but I know I'm not. But yeah, I think this year is going to be, again, I think it will be volatile. I think Ukraine will cause caution in the market, and you'll see.
So I'm not sure. So I was listening to this week, a guy I follow called Jason Calacanis. He runs a startup podcast. They reckon that it might be all right with from a business perspective in other locations, as long as it doesn't spread. Something similar happened with Georgia a few years back, where Russia rolled in, put their own crony in place, and then rolled back out again. So it could not lead to outright recession. From what they said, they're 4 billionaires who study the market, but it's very early, isn't it? That's very early and it's very, God love everybody involved in it.
Well, it'll be interesting to see when they usually put out their monthly statistics of how many jobs have been advertised. So in probably the next 6-8 weeks, we'll see what the repercussions of this is. We'll know a lot more then. But one thing's for sure is that, there's been so much activity, January, February, it's literally been, the market has absolutely boomed. And I think for me, is the surprising thing is that I always used to think as a small business that you could only work with small businesses. And I think, Chris, you mentioned that you're working with the likes of Oracle. It's absolutely incredible, and I've been sort of shocked that I've been working with some billion-pound companies as well. And it's incredible to actually be signing terms with massive, household brands. It's doable. You get told from, when you're in the corporate game, you're just a one-man band, working from home and stuff like that. But people buy from people. That's the key.
They sure do. I have a bit of a personal update. So we are moving to Gibraltar.
What?
Hey.
Yeah, I know, right?
You're gonna go play with the monkeys?
Yeah. So we 4 weeks time.
What?
I know. I'll walk you through it. So we were planning on moving to America, and we've done the capital investment. We've done a lot of stuff to make that happen, and we've just kind of bottled it. I think I'll still sponsor somebody to launch our US business down the road. So, I mean, it's not money wasted or anything. And it wasn't like it wasn't crazy money. So we were still planning to do America. We were going on holidays to Madeira. It was actually something that we'd booked before COVID and just got pushed back. We get to the airport. EasyJet wouldn't let us on the flight because my son's passport was out of date in 4 months instead of 3 or something like that, right? And we'd phoned EasyJet beforehand about it, and they said, no, don't worry about it. Anyway, whole palaver in the airport, drama. And my wife, she was not happy, right? So I had the chance of staying at home with her and the kids and her steam coming out her ears for a week, or trying to fix it. So jumped on quickly, saw that we could get to Gibraltar, went to Gibraltar for a week. On the plane, I'm like looking at, business community there, some favorable tax stuff that you can do there, all the rest. I get there and it's amazing. It's really modern. It's got an old town as well. And we loved it. And anyway, we got back, we discussed it, and we've just plunged. So gonna Airbnb the house, gonna go over. I've got a 6-month rental agreed. Have rented an office, all in the one complex. Kids will be put in school, got an incorporation sorted out. And
wow.
I know, right?
You are the modern day traveler recruiter, aren't you?
But man, it was never my dream to live in the UK. Like I was in Guatemala, and then we were like around Europe, and I thought that was my life. And then of course you get somebody else wants to get a house and have kids, and then you do that, and then you're like, well, I was promised, we'll only be in the UK for a couple of years. 5 years later. Now, we've made the most of it and all the rest, but 5 years, and I'm like, I'm ready. She's ready. Business is ready. Our team's fully remote. And so we're ready to rock and on the rock. So can't wait.
Fantastic. Well done. You know that there's still an extradition treaty between there and the UK, don't you?
No, well...
No, only joking. Is it still true that Gibraltar's got more miles of road inside the rock than they do outside? And that's meant to be true. There you go.
Yes, it would be true. So we did the tunnel like tour. That was really interesting. But yeah, can't wait. Life in the sunshine, right?
Awesome.
Yeah. So we're relaunching the mastermind in a couple of weeks' time. So got the guys from Peak Creative down and got all the stuff that we've done, and we've built a whole platform on the back end. So all the stuff you need to set up your business, all the details, all the little instruction manuals on how to do all the different stuff with tech and VAs and marketing and all the rest. So
it's a cracking course. It helped me so much, Do you know what, probably the one thing, it was the elevator pitch. It actually made me really think about my business. What do I want to be? You know, because I was kind of like, I went generic and did everything, and doing HR. You know, why did I think I could do HR as well? I don't know why, but
it's getting challenged as well. So you guys had a nice, you were part of a bigger group, but you had a nice, you had Chris and James, both, all three had a lot of experience, but you all had different gaps and you were able to kind of help each other out within that. And that was one of the earlier masterminds. So what we've done is every time somebody like yourselves come on that has things that we don't have, we take that and then we add it in and add it in and add it in. So now that we're on 12 and we've coached 70 people, it's a much more robust course. And then hopefully next year it'll be even bigger. Although my wife, I'm struggling to even get her into it. She's too big a deal now. She wants to sit with the big boys and do the 50-man companies and wear the nice dresses and go into London and do all of that.
Going to be a bit difficult from Gibraltar.
Well, she's going to fly over every 3 weeks, so she's already mapped out her life.
That's fabulous.
Yeah,
no, I think I'm with Gary there. That elevator pitch and actually put us on the spot, I think, was probably the highlight in terms of, you know, it made you really sit there and as Gary said, focus and actually look at what you're doing. And I think that was probably the most uncomfortable I've been in the last 5 years. Yeah. And I think if you're not been uncomfortable like that occasionally, you're doing something wrong. So it was a real good one. But it's definitely, I mean, you know, it's transformed my business from where I was a year ago.
When you talk about that, it is interesting because you get, like, I've been put on the spot from Andy Hallett in the past. It's not nice, right?
No.
Because, and I think what came out of that was I was like, oh, cool. I can see Andy's vision of how a recruitment company works, but it's not what I want to do.
Yeah.
But I had to have that experience to really go, oh, no, not for me. I actually want to do a bit of recruitment, like have a bit of that, but also to do other things like the VA solution that we have, like the mastermind, like the consultancy. Like I wanted a different type business. So will I ever build up a big agency and sell? No, it's not in me. But I wouldn't have got there unless I had that horrible experience of having somebody put me on the spot and go through the why, how, what are you doing right now? Why is that not working? You know, so it's good to have external eyes. Whatever type of business you have, whatever your plan is. Most people don't have a plan. So they don't know where they're going and they don't know how to get there. And then you ask them, like, well, what's your marketing plan then? Because you're paying a marketing person. I don't really have one. I just know I should do content. You're like, but it's a journey for everybody, you know. So I'm glad I've gone and spent 3 years on a podcast, grabbing everybody's info and then trying to decipher it into something.
Because I imagine 78% of your business comes from what you do on LinkedIn, right?
Quite a bit on the pod. To be honest, when I was talking about evergreen content, it's something I want to get better at. I'm going to engage a content writer to help me with those landing pages and making things a bit better so I can compete better with other similar advisors, because they've all got that nailed. They've done the sales before the actual body of work.
Yeah.
But the podcast is evergreen. So when somebody buys the mastermind, it's usually from the podcast. So they've listened to it and they've gone, okay, so you've actually done this with people with lots of experience. I'm like them. Or you've done that with somebody with no experience. I'm like them. Although people with no experience, it's pretty hard, right? So there's two people on either ends of the spectrum. You're at Chris Weatherill's experience, where you're headlocking them into change. And as soon as you show him it works, and it works, it'll do, but he's not going to change everything. And if he does change, it'll be slow. Or there's somebody at the start of their journey and you're trying to go through the basics. That's tough.
There is a halfway house on that, though. What you can use, I know you're connected with the Scoop, so you can effectively give your recruiters their own branding landing page where they can put all the roles on. Actually, the market, you can actually get to know a little bit more about who you are. You can put your podcast in there. You can put your wins in there. You can put your news.
If you have a niche.
If you have a niche,
But if you don't have a niche, your content's not going to be targeted. That there's going to be like it's not going to work. You know, like Joe Rogan is Joe Rogan, and everybody loves it, or lots of people love it, because he talks about universal themes. So if recruiters start talking about universal themes, we don't hit the actual thing that we should do. So like yours should be to all content should be targeted towards making celebrities out of your clients and building communities out of your candidates and clients. And the road to getting there is to having a niche. It's people who do content for content's sake. I don't get it.
But I see the biggest difference being that whereas recruitment used to be a job of picking up the phone, now it's actually a marketing role. And I think that's where Gary's hit the sweet spot there, is that he markets himself. And actually recruitment is no longer just a sales job. It's actually a marketing job. And that's...
I don't know, right? You say that, but your marketing spend's pretty small compared to your spend doing the phone. If you're to look at where your revenue comes, I think the business, as Gary's business grows, and as most businesses grows, like I think the business should do the marketing, but the recruiter should do the recruitment. Like ideally, if the recruiter just ends up being a marketer, it's super hard. Like so much of the recruiter's marketing can be done by a marketing team, like from images, from a large part of the posts. Like if they're going to end up doing a podcast, I don't think everybody in your team needs to do a podcast. It's better that the founder does it, and the founder is within a niche. If it is a company with 3 different niches, fine. The figurehead within the niche does it. But the outside of that, if you make them all content people, they're not going to do the recruitment piece. So
yeah, I see soon there will be a recruitment agency that will create a YouTube channel, which will just basically be a TV series, following recruiters around. They'll be with their clients. This business.
But that's been done. Like Harrington started that loads.
Yeah, but it's not.
They got Hoxo in to do it. Like there's.
Yeah.
Nobody cares enough about it. And they do
you
great.
Want to make it exciting. What I mean, make it exciting.
Day in Gary Wills' life. Come on, that would be exciting. Look at that.
I don't know about that at the minute. I'll tell you that.
The problem is the recruitment industry is universally hated. And it's very hard for people outside our bubble to understand that we actually care. To do content that isn't egocentric, that applies to people outside our niche, is very hard. So the only way that I think people add value with their content is if they make their clients shine, not themselves.
Yeah.
Like the only reason you make yourself shine instead of your clients is if you're doing your own like employer branding, and that's there to get the next wave of people to join you. And sure, you need a bit of that, but you have to understand who that's targeted to, and it has to be one of many things that you do. So it's hard. It's hard not to make it all a cringe.
I guess I've seen a lot of stuff where actually, as you said, it's people being famous in recruitment, but actually that doesn't make you money, because the recruitment people aren't the people who give you the money. It's the clients who do. So as you said, nail it. Get the clients famous, because that's the people that give you the money.
Well, look, one of our special guests is world class at this, and that's Joe Mullings, and he gets it right because he's in an established niche. I feel like I just talk about this guy all the time, but he just has it nailed. So like he has an established niche. He flies around in a private jet to conferences. He gives keynote speeches for his clients, but then he also has another business where his clients fly to him and use his studio, and he helps shape their content outside of the stuff he does. So he's the figurehead and all of that, but nobody else is doing the content in that business. So, and all the content's it's not about joining the Mullings group. It's about how he can help their client base. So
personally, I think there's a guy that you need to get on. Do you know John Blackburn from Vacatio? Check out what he's doing. It's really impressive. For a startup business, he is doing exactly what you're talking about there, showcasing the clients. Yeah, follow him, check him out. He's a top lad. You'd be really impressed with him. He's something special.
All right, good. Who else are you following out there that you enjoy at the moment? You're a bit of an influencer, Gary, aren't you? You love dabbling in these circles. I see you visiting the who's who.
No, I'd like to surround myself with forward-thinking people. For me, one of my closest, I've got a really good mentor, Paul Jacobs. He's just like the godfather of recruitment. He basically, helped scale Office Angels, and but now he's working through the consultancy. He's doing pretty much helping small and medium-sized businesses like myself. And the advice I get from him is absolutely fantastic.
Like what?
Well, how to actually stay true to what you wanted the business to be in the first place, how to take it to the next level, when to take it to the next level, who to actually work with, like more on the finance and accounting side. So I've had a load of changes that I've done within the business, and Paul is, but he's also been a bit of like my cheerleader as well. When there's been some really, really tough days, and there has been a lot of tough days, he's been there to actually pick me up, and no one else is going to pick the phone up, no one else is going to be doing the videos, it's me. So Paul Jacobs is an absolutely fantastic mentor. And I think there's probably one of the most astute people in the recruitment industry is a guy called Chris Kendrick, who used to be my boss. I think you've come across Chris before.
Yeah, I met Chris loads. Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, he's got a recruitment software business now called Mercury.
Called Luxo, is it?
It's not, but different sort of size. They go.
Chris, reach out if you want some sponsorship, buddy.
Enterprise.
Called Luxo from now on.
I've done it again and on. But no, he is like a real sort of forward-thinking, entrepreneurial guy who he has some real visionary ideas, and we just connect. We really do. He's one of my best mates, but his ideas are just so articulate. And everything he says generally happens. So. Again, he's another one that you should probably get on the podcast.
I can't.
You can't? No.
No, I can't. This podcast is sponsored by Luxo and Sourcewell. I can't have rival products on so I'm afraid.
I'm ruining this podcast.
Yeah, I was going to say, shut up, Gary. Stop talking. You're in the bottom of a hole. Stop digging.
You asked who
Agency accountants as well, everybody, by the way. New sponsor just announced today.
My God, I've got 2 out of the 3 products here. I definitely am the marketing. I've just been sold to on this experience.
Oh, big time. Hey.
The thing I would say is that when we're talking about people who are influential, I don't listen so much to the podcast. What I have done though is over the years I've met quite a few people. I'm no surprise I'm into motor racing, or maybe a surprise, but yeah, massively into motor racing. The one thing I found is that I'm mixing with people who are billionaires. John Caldwell's one of the people within the group that most people would know of. And it's interesting actually meeting those people and talking to them face to face, how actually all those people are is driven. They've had a good idea, they follow that idea through, and they've been single-minded in their determination. And that's the one thing I found. I haven't listened so much to podcasts, but you meet those real people and you realize they're no difference to you and me. Yeah. They're just doing, when you talk about niche, that's what they've done. Hey, I'm going to buy phones and I'm going to sell them before we have to pay for them. And I'll do that over a massive scale.
I'm obsessed with podcasts. I have 0 mentors in my life, though, except for my martial art coach. And that's about it. I'm looking forward to getting away from this village, though, and hopefully being around other entrepreneurs that I can kind of learn from and sponge off, because that is one of the things about being fully remote that's hard when you're in a regional area. You just don't get access to those people,
It's interesting. After 10 years or 12 years of working from home, I've actually taken on an office. When I go into an office at least 3, probably 4 days a week at the moment. Nice. And that's quite nice. And I'm actually finding, one of the things about working from home is the fact that home and work you can't separate. Whereas now I have that separation, but also looking to a bit of a daughter thing. I'm trying to do a ski season out in France, end of this year, beginning of next, and do that, and maybe look at some other options as well. So it's a case of just trying to work with the time zones and everything else.
Gentlemen, that's us today. It's Friday. Thank you so much. Thank you for being part of the mastermind.
Thank you very much. Cheers, daughter.
Yep. Thanks, daughter. Thanks, Gary. And I'll see you guys. Speak to you soon. And good luck with your move, daughter. When's the leaving party? That's the only thing we need to find out now.
Mate, I'm good for a party.
Yeah. So when is it? Come on. Right.
All in due course. See
you later.
Yeah.